Hi soulmates, welcome back to class. So we're going to be learning how to make this flay skirt, flay gown with this shoulder flay. All right, it's quite easy and simple to make. First, we're going to be drafting our basic pattern before altering it into our off-shoulder dress. So from the top of the paper, we're going to be marking, this is the basic neckline, this is our armhole length, this is our bust length, and then we have our waistline. So I'm going to be ruling this line across. This is our shoulder to waist, shoulder to bust line, shoulder to armhole, and of course our neckline. And then we're going to be marking out our shoulder. Okay, this is a small paper, but whatever is done here, you can replicate it on your bodies or using your measurements. So this is my neck width and this is my shoulder. Okay, so on the shoulder, I'm going to be slanting it by 1/2 inch. For the front, it is 1.5 inch on a basic bodice, and this is my neckline. Okay, so this is my shoulder. For this shoulder, I'm going to bring it down, and at the midpoint I'm going to go in by 0.75 and connect it this way. Okay, so for the bust, I'm going to mark my bust circumference, and I'm going to be using the whole of this bust circumference divided by 4. My waistline, I'm going to be dividing the waistline divided by 4 plus 1 inch basic dart. So I'll be connecting these lines together. Please take this serious and you're going to be happy you did, because whatever is done here is what can actually be replicated on your garment. So here I'm going to mark my basic dart line from bust to waist, and I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. So now this is our basic bodice. I'm going to be cutting this out. The paper is on fold. I'll cut it out so we can use it to do other things that we have to do. So I'm going to mark the midpoint of my shoulder to my bust line. My shoulder to my bust line. I'm going to mark the midpoints and connect them on a straight line. We're going to get our off shoulder. Now, after connecting shoulder to the bust point, I'm going to mark where my off shoulder is going to begin from. And you can always measure like shoulder to 5 inches or 6 inches. I'm going to be using the midpoint of the armhole. So this is where my shoulder, off shoulder line is going to be starting, and this is where I'm going to do a little bit of tightening for the off shoulder. So on this part now, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. If you're using your actual measurements, depending on the size of your bust as well, 1/2 inch on both sides. Now, if you need it to be firm on the body, 0.75 on both sides is going to do it. Okay, so whatever I marked here, I'm going to extend 1/2 inch back into this armhole, or measure where I want my strap is to be, and I will connect it from that point, extra 1/2 inch, and connect it back into my armhole. Now this is where our strap is going to fall on this. Okay, for illustration purpose. Now for the under bust, I'm going to also locate my shoulder to my under bust, and on this under bust I'm going to be extending it by 1/2 inch as well. I don't want it to be too fitted. Okay, so you can also do the same thing on your basic body, 1/2 inch. You don't want it to be too fitted, and I'm going to use my curve to connect it this way. Okay, and connect this other part like so, and then bring it straight down to the waistline. Straight down to the waistline. Okay, so whatever we added here, we're going to extend it back on our waistline to avoid having shortage of measurements. Okay, so once we've marked all of this, we are now going to shape the front part of our dress, of our blouse. If you don't want it to be deep, of course you can also leave it straight, but I just want to give it a little bit of shape. Okay, so I'm going to use my scissors to cut this out. This is how I'm going to be cutting it. In case you find this interesting, please subscribe to this channel, support us so we can actually bring in more beautiful designs. So I will trim this from this armhole area. Remember, I added half an inch back into the armhole and connected it. So this is my new armhole. Okay. Now, if you added your side darts, all you have to do is just to close it and nothing more. This is just for the front part. We're not talking about the back side. So all you have to do is just to close your side darts to match up with the front. So we open this way, and this is going to be like this. Now the next thing we're going to do is to attach the peplum that we have at the upper part. Now for the strap, we're just going to connect it straight up. Now this is my strap that I'm going to be fixing at this shoulder. Now before attaching this strap, I'm going to cut the peplum. Now this peplum is not the usual peplum. This is just a straight piece, straight as in straight like this, not a round peplum. So we're going to cut this, normal measurements for an adult up to 45 inches long, because it's going to be coming from one shoulder, from one arm, right, one hand to the neckline, and then down to the other hand, depending on the length that you want, 40 to 45 inches. And then if you want it shorter, you can take measurements of how you want it to be. All right, so all you have to do now, this neckline may not be deep, so you don't have to be placing it this way, and that's why it just have to come straight like this. So you fix it to the neckline before attaching the sleeve, so that you can actually use your lining to turn all of them together. Okay, so when you turn, you're going to stop halfway towards the armhole, so that this other place can just fall on its own, or you can join them together, including the back side, and allow it to be on its own. Okay, so this is what we have as this design. Now the next thing is to cut the peplum skirts and attach to the waistline. Okay, I believe we have tutorial on how to cut the peplum in the channel, but I'm still going to be showing us how to cut the peplum. Now this is going to be for the back side. So now to cut the peplum, this is my fabric. I'm going to fold into two. After folding into two, I'm going to make a peplum. This is a 180-degree peplum, 180-degree flay. I'll call it a peplum, I'll call it a flay. So this is my fabric for 180. I'll fold into two complete like this, and then I'll make a triangle from one edge, right? So I'm now going to measure the length that I want and trim it all together. And then I will equally measure my waist, divide by 4, because this is folded into 4. I'll divide by 4, right, for both front and back. And this is what I'm going to be placing on the waistline. So I'll fix all of this together and show us how it is. Now after fixing it together, you can see how it is. I want to fix the back as well. We did not illustrate the making of the pattern, but this is how to fix the back. In between the zipper, that is where you're going to fix the cape. This is actually a cape, not a peplum per se. And the width of this cape can be as any length as you want, something from 10 inches to 12 inches. Okay, so after the armhole, we're going to create a space where the shoulder, the actual arm, is going to be. You can see the space, and then you close up the remaining part if you want, right? So like I said, the depth of the cape can be any length, and the depth of your flare skirt can be any length. This is just an illustration, and I hope it helps someone who has watched this video, and you can also share to also help others to have an idea of how to go about this. This is how it's looking, so beautiful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.